Our will to do a lot of things, our will to fight, our will to keep going, our will to just overcome everything, our will to not be turned away, or our will to stand sometimes overshadow who we are to me as people, because we have not learned to be humbled or accept some of the things that we cannot change, or to be humbled in a way to see our fellow man struggle and not lend a helping hand because of our will and our pride to stand. When you read the Bible and study it in detail and go from front to back, you will find God dealing with our will. Our will to be right, our will to not submit, our will to stand at every moment. When you study it, you will see God dealing with men and women, dealing with their will, dealing with their submissionness, their wanting to be better and at every and anything, dealing with our anger, dealing with everything that feeds our will. And Jesus and Mark 15 demonstrate the most wonderful power of not submitting to your will, of not submitting to your will, but submitting to the wills of others, submitting to the will of God, submitting to the will of when I say others, I mean letting himself go for others. That's what I mean by that. Because he's submitting to the will of God to let others shine. He could have did anything or spoke anything, or he could have battled his way out. He could have just done it and it had just been over with. But to show so much restraint and so much humbleness in his will not to shine. That's us. We got to shine. We got to have our will out there to let people know how strong we are. It's like having a football team and no matter what, or a basketball team, no matter what team you have, the greater overall goal for the team has to be bigger than your will. I don't care if you have a star basketball player or a star football player, his will cannot be greater than the team goal. We are always trying to battle what we want versus what God has intended for us. It is our greatest conflict within ourselves. You remember when the devil went up on Lucifer himself, had a conversation with God, and he was talking about Job? When I read that story, and I still read that story today, I generally think that God was just talking about his will. He knew Job's will would not be greater. He knew Job's will would not be, his will to serve him was greater than his will to serve himself. I really believe that. I really believe God just knew Job's will to serve him was greater than to serve himself. Because you generally got to look at us when we start thinking about what we want and how we want it and how we like it and what we would love to have and what we would rather be. We can have a lot and still want more. We can have plenty of money and we'll go to the casino and see can we win more money. We can have two nice cars in the driveway, and yet we'll wonder how can we trade it in to get a better one. It's the will to keep feeding ourselves. How do we get to the point to where we're not so much wanting our will to shine, but rather to be humble enough to watch one of our peers or to help someone else manifest their will? It was like when Abilene came up on, Abraham came up on Abilene, and Abilene saw his wife, and the first thing he did was, boom, take her. The beauty of her, Sarah, and the beauty of Sarah, and everything was just, he had to have it. It's not like they didn't have many wives, because if you read the story, you will find that God healed him in his women. He had women. It's just the fact what I'm trying to say and what I'm struggling to say is let's work together. Not just for the sake of your will and my will, but for the overall good of all will. To submit to God's will for our lives and to better our lives together. People say, why are you in the dark? Because it's not about who I am. It's about what we try to listen to and hear and figure it out together.